In this video you are going to learn why when you pick up some heavy ass, eat a lot of fucking protein and sleep like a goddamn baby, your muscles get bigger, my brother. Welcome to Mr. Potato Awesome Fitness Tips, coming to you straight from the jungles of Buenos Aires, Brazil. But yo, although we are about to geek our brains out on every single detail about how to get hypertrophy on your muscles, I need to leave a big disclaimer right here, right now. Don't overthink this. Hypertrophy training is absolutely idiot-proof. Anyone can do it. Even the thickest motherfucker you have ever seen, gadoosh, can do it. So grab a tall glass of water, my friend, cause muscles are 75% water. Muscles are organs. Just like your pancreas, your liver, your skin, your heart, they are the part of the organism that is responsible for generating movement. It is a complex protein structure, which means it's just simpler protein structures combined together to perform a function. These structures are built using amino acids. Now, to understand amino acids, I love the analogy of using Lego pieces. Imagine that you bought that Lego, let me think of an awesome Lego, like the Millennium Falcon, all right? You bought that awesome Millennium Falcon from Lego. The amino acids are the individual pieces that when combined, they create a protein structure. In the context of the Lego Millennium Falcon, let's say that a protein would be the combination of pieces that form that radar, the combination of pieces that form the laser beams, and the Millennium Falcon itself is the muscle, is the complex structure, the combination of all those fucking pieces into a single awesome piece like your goddamn shoulders. Yeah. Your muscles and everything else in your body are built through a process called protein synthesis. When you ingest foods that contain protein, the protein travels through your digestive system and are broken down into amino acids. These amino acids then are shot into the bloodstream and they become available to the cells to produce all kinds of gunk like enzymes, hormones, a complex tissue like muscle via protein synthesis, which is a gene expression where a partial copy of your DNA sequence gets released in the cytoplasm of the cell in the form of RNA. This process is called gene transcription. Imagine that your DNA is just a cookbook. It has all the recipes to produce every single molecule that is inside you that compounds into you as an organism. And each recipe is a gene sequence that is in the DNA. And when that gene sequence gets transcripted into RNA, it's like taking a Xerox of the specific page that has the recipe that you want to make. So RNA is nothing more than instructions copied from the DNA on how to assemble proteins, on the recipe on how to make them. So RNA is there milling around inside the cell, and here comes the ribose that read those instructions and pick the amino acids in the cell and start assembling the protein, building tissue, building enzymes, building stuff inside you. This is the second part of gene expression, gene translation, when the information coming from the DNA is actually used to assemble a new protein, to build a new protein, to synthesize a new protein. Protein synthesis. That's how your muscles are built mechanistically. But I got more for you on this stuff. What about that T, baby? That testosterone, boy? The hormone responsible for making us male grow sick-ass beards and rock-solid-ass cheeks. Hormones are like every single geek running starting strength or strong lift 5x5 for 3 months and answering form checks in Reddit Fitness. It has instructions that improves upon the information, the recipe that is already there inside the cell for protein synthesis, improving its efficiency in building the specific protein, the specific recipe that it is trying to do at the time. Testosterone in this specific has a better recipe for building muscle. That's why when you juice your balls off, you instantly balloon the fuck up. Especially in the delts and in the traps, because the shoulders and traps have a higher density of androgen receptors. You see, hormones, for they to be able to influence a cell, they need to be attached to a receptor. The receptor is nothing more than a parking spot where the hormone sits outside the cell and provide those instructions to improve upon protein synthesis. That's what saying that the shoulders and delts have more androgen receptors really means. The cells on those muscles are more efficient at receiving the influence of testosterone to build more tissue. And from a design point of view, it makes a lot of fucking sense because the neck and the shoulders are extremely mobile and extremely frail at the same time, making optimizing muscle building activities in those areas pretty intelligent from an evolutionary standpoint, protecting your musculoskeletal system. Speaking of which, you hear me say the musculoskeletal system a lot in my videos. So let's break down what the fuck do I mean by that. What are the pieces that compound into the musculoskeletal system? So let's start with the bones. Where the bones attach are the joints. The thing that wraps each bone around the joint are the ligaments. And the thing that attaches muscle to bone are called the tendons. The innervation in the muscle establishes the communication with the brain, allowing for muscle contraction. When the muscle contracts, it generates movement. By reducing the distance from point A to point B, it pulls everything with it, generating angles and allowing for movement. And now think about it. Think of all the crazy movements that you can do. It's fucking insane, man. It's so complicated. It's so awesome that a simple contraction can do that. So let's see how that works. How the muscle contraction happens. The muscle itself, it's like a fabric. It's like jeans, you know? There's a ton of strings being intertwined together. Each individual muscle fiber, it's more like a rope. Now imagine a rope. And each individual piece of string that it compounds into the rope is the myofilaments. The main ones for muscle contraction is myosin and actin. Actin stays down here, myosin goes there and boom, picks it up, pulls, reducing the distance, generating the contraction. That's how it works. Ha, that's a brilliant explanation. Let's go, boys. Sheesh, I'm on fire today, man. Ha, having fun. So let's hit some more bars, son. Like, who orders the contraction? It's the fucking brain. By using the central nervous system as a highway of communication, it sends a neurochemical called acetylcholine to the motor unit. A motor unit has two parts. One is the muscle fiber itself. The other is the motor neuron. This motor neuron receives that acetylcholine, receives that information that it has to contract, and bumps his buddy muscle fiber, yo bro, let's go! Move! Move, motherfucker, move! There are two types of motor units. Low threshold motor units and high threshold motor units. The key is in the word threshold. The muscle always uses the least amount of resources to execute the contraction. That's what a threshold means. So low threshold motor units are primarily populated by slow twitch muscle fibers, which are muscle fibers optimized for repetitive movement, where the fuel for this movement is using the lipids and the sugars in your bloodstream and bringing it to the cell mitochondria to be oxidated, generating energy to produce the contraction. And they are emphasized when we are working at our aerobic threshold, when we are not engaging in heavy resistance exercise, but in aerobic exercise, like endurance training. The thing here is that the muscle is trying to generate clean energy because it is not being challenged by heavy resistance. It's not sounding the alarms. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna break in half. When that shit happens, you need high threshold motor units. The ones that are specialized in moving heavy shit and generating explosive kinetic force. The heavy hitters, the fast twitch muscle fibers, baby. Which uses the phosphocreatine and the glycogen that are roaming in the cell's sarcoplasm to generate the energy for explosive contractions against resistance. In resistance training, we are mainly working at this threshold, the anaerobic threshold. But of course, nothing in biology is black and white. Both fast twitch muscle fibers and slow twitch muscle fibers contributes to muscle contractions when you are in the anaerobic thresholds. What defines which are you recruiting is your training style. The fast twitch ones are going to be emphasized when you are going very heavy. And when you are moving slightly less heavy weights, you still need to be in your anaerobic threshold. But instead of emphasizing hitting the hardest contractions that you can, you are exhausting the muscle. And remember, the muscle will use the least amount of resources to complete the task at hand. So when the resources required to complete it start to ramp up, rep after rep, more and more muscle fibers, more and more motor units are going to be conjured to execute the task at hand and provide you the adaptation that your training style is trying to emphasize in that muscle. But if you are more of a slow twitch guy or more as a fast twitch guy, don't be discouraged because the distribution of fast twitch and slow twitch in the muscle cell can be changed using the right training techniques. You see, muscle is extremely plastic, and that's because it's multinucleated, which means, you know the cell nucleus where the DNA resides? Each muscle cell has a ton of nucleus. So when a stimulus, an adaptation, or an influence is being imposed on the muscle, there's a ton of nucleus releasing that RNA and starting protein synthesis and changing the structure of the muscle according to the stimulus that it is receiving. But the adaptation that we want, the one that we really want, is the one that gets us jacked. Praise protein! It's hypertrophy, my brothers. We wanna gain size. We wanna build muscle, aka hypertrophy. So there are two primary ways to introduce hypertrophy to the muscle: mechanical tension and metabolic stress. To introduce mechanical tension, you need to pick something really heavy and do a movement with it. Some movements are better than the others, but any movement counts. For instance, heavy ass motherfucking squats and deadlift are going to be the best bang for your buck to build muscle because it stimulates everything all at once. It's the most efficient, more time effective way of building muscle and building strength and taking care of your health. Those big, heavy ass compound movements, those are the way to go. And I'm going to cover them in as much detail as I possibly can in the future. So if you're interested in that, my brother, smash that subscribe button for me and let me grow my channel so I can keep banging videos here, alright? So let's get back to mechanical tension. When that force travels through your muscle, it creates a challenge, it creates a stimulus, a necessity for change, because the weight is heavy enough for your muscles to be thinking, holy fuck, what the fuck this dude is doing? We can't sustain this. We need more workers here ASAP. Hey brain, is there amino acids available? Because this cat is literally insane. And the brain will go, oh god, here they come again asking for a raise. So we will check for two things. Are you eating more calories than you consume? And yes, you have protein roaming around, amino acids roaming around in your bloodstream. And if the answer is yes, then the brain will be forced to give the muscle cell that raise, building brand new muscle fibers that are able to contract via myofibrillar hypertrophy. And in a practical sense, just so you have something that you can apply to your training right now, emphasizing myofibrillar hypertrophy is all about working in the 4 to 10 rep range. Put the maximum weight that you can put in the barbell and execute those reps. If you can't do at least 4 reps, that's too heavy. If you can do more than 10, then that's too light. As simple as that. And the most common misconception that people have in this style of training is that you need to go to failure. No, you don't need to go to failure. You need to go just enough that the barbell is starting to slow down, and you need to be extremely precise and efficient in your execution of the lift. Precise and efficient doesn't mean that you are going to do some fucking Tai Chi shit and you're going to do barbell rolls like super strict. No, you can use your body. You can use cheated reps. You can use body English. It's allowed. It's part of the process of building muscle. You want your fucking body to work as a unit. You don't want to isolate everything in every single exercise, okay? Especially when we're working for myofibrillar hypertrophy using heavy ass weights. That's the time to teach your body how to be strong with quality reps. So going to failure, muscular failure, is completely counterproductive, because by the time that your forms start to break and your technique start to go to the shitters and you're there executing the ugliest fucking reps that I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, all you're doing is teaching your body how to not move efficiently, how to shake your way through a fucking stupid lame ass set to failure. So cut that shit. Training for myofibrillar hypertrophy, it's the time to be technical and precise with your execution. But there's a time to go beast mode. There's a time to push towards failure, to go pedal to the metal, go berserker. And it's when we are training for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy by introducing metabolic stress. In that style of training, you need to do some fucking soul searching and pull all the demons and the hates from inside out so you can unleash mayhem to the iron. You need to do as many fucking reps as you fucking can. You need to feel the muscle burning. You need to feel the pump. You need to make sure that you took everything that you got in the sets that emphasize sarcoplasmic hypertrophy through metabolic stress. What is happening inside the muscle cell is that by expending all the resources that are inside the muscle cell that fuel the contraction, that generate the energy for the contraction, the glycogen, the phosphocreatine that are fermented and burned inside the muscle cytoplasm without using oxygen, a key feature of working in your anaerobic threshold, your muscle is literally fighting for his life. Because all that energy being spended is polluting the muscle cell. It's turning the cell environment into a cell environment that is acidic. And if it stays acidic, the muscle cell itself is going to be destroyed. That's muscle damage. That's the thing that makes you feel sore on the next day after a brutal workout session where you emphasize higher reps than usual. If you ever lifted weights in your life, you know.
If you are working at the 5 to 6 rep range and doing squats, bench, and deadlift, after a while you barely feel a thing on the next day. The only thing preventing you from going to the gym again is that your central nervous system is fried because you use a ton of weights. But soreness itself, muscle damage, it's barely non-existent. But when you are training for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, you need to shoot for that. You need to go for metabolic stress. You need to go for damage so that the brain recognizes, hey, I'm not sending enough resources to that muscle fiber. They need more metabolites to fight that acidity. They need more resources to do more reps. You need to do as many as you can. You don't pick a motherfucking piece of paper and follow whatever the fuck that it is saying. If it says 15 reps and you can do 18, you do your 18. If it says 20 and you can do 25, you do 25. You do as many as you can because you're shooting for metabolic stress. You want everything that you can put inside that muscle cell there. So the cell swells, so the cell gets larger by being filled up with stuff. But don't hear what I'm not saying. The damage is not a driver of hypertrophy. No pain, no gain is a myth. The thing is, damage is a byproduct of the training. It's just pollution. Think about a car. The engine makes the car move. It's not the carbon dioxide that is being expelled because you are burning fuel inside the car that makes the car move. It's the engine. The same applies here. The pollution, the acidity, is not a driver of hypertrophy, but a byproduct of it. So pick all the information that I gave you, get your fucking ass to the gyms and go train, motherfucker, because you're not going to get bigger if you don't apply this information to your lifestyle, to your fucking training. But if you do apply it, I feel fucking blessed. Blessed by Almighty Brody for spreading the word, spreading the wisdom of iron that will galvanize your mind, body, and fucking soul. Stay on the iron path, my brothers. Peace.